She makes like video content of old games, like
I'm sorry,
Juggernaut.
baby.
Alright, if you're gonna have these conversations, can you please let me know?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They're being insanely loud.
I am. I'm sorry. I was too loud, guys.
I gotta feel in trouble.
I'm sorry. My wife wants to go to sleep. I'm sorry, guys.
Do I have a merch shop? No. And I'm not planning on bringing one back. Here's the truth, okay? In all the years that I've been a creator, since day one, 18 years ago, I never expected that this would ever be my job. I never took myself ultra seriously, meaning I never thought that, like, people would like the content that I put out enough that they would want to buy merchandise of it and stuff. Like, never fathomed this in my head one moment, okay? And the fact that it all came to be is ridiculous to me, but at the same time, hey, it's my reality and I live with it every day, you know. It's a good thing, it's not a bad thing. I've had merchandise 4 times in my career. The first time I had merchandise was very early on. I actually went to a website called cafepress.com, and I made an initial line of product. This is how the original Dark Side Phil shirt, remember they used to have the Dark Side Phil with a crown, and it's the shirt that you'll see me wearing in the Project 7 series from 2012. That's where that original line of product launched, and it was very silly. Of course, I didn't take it seriously. Dude, I had everything possible. I had Dark Side Phil underwear. I'm not kidding. I sold Dark Side Phil tighty whities on that website. Did I make a lot of money doing it? Absolutely not. It was more of a novelty or a joke. People who like my super fans back then who wanted merch, that was the way to get it, but I didn't really care and I didn't really make any money doing it. Okay? Then there was a second line that I launched during the time when I was frequently playing fighting games with my friends. At that point, we were training in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, in order to go to a tournament in Japan. And so we had a group, we called it Don't Blow This. And we would go over to my friend Howard's house and we would stream from his actual arcade cabinet. And we had a merch line. Like there was, you know, John Rambo had a shirt that said Rambo and it was like Dalzim, his favorite character. Howard had a shirt with Balrog, his favorite character. I had a shirt. I don't even remember who was on my shirt. I actually forgot. I think it might have been Vega, but maybe not. Maybe it was DJ. I don't even remember. Okay. So that was the second merchandise line that we had at one point. Okay. Then when Project 7 actually launched, which was supposed to be a web comedy series about games and stuff. It was just stupid mess around, very, very low grade, not high quality. It was just meant to be dumb and funny. We launched a line of shirts in tandem with that show that were meant to be sold at conventions. Okay. We never actually sold them really fully online. It was more convention stuff. Then, years later, I would want to say probably around 2015, 2016, I'm not sure exactly, I was contacted by then Teespring. They said, hey, we see that, you know, you have a popular YouTube channel, you have a following, would you like to sell merch? And I said, well, I haven't done anything since Cafe Press. I mean, that was so many years ago. I'm no. And they said, well, listen, here's the thing. We're going to do all the work for you, okay? We're going to design stuff. We're going to put up merch. We're going to design your store. We'll do it all for you. All you got to do is tell us, yes, you agree. Give us your information so you can pay you. And then every once in a while, you can just upload more designs and we'll have our design team make the shirts and stuff for you. I said, okay, fine, if there's no work involved. And that's exactly what happened. They created the page. They designed it. They made all the initial merch and it all went up. And that's where this shirt came from. So this was from the Teespring era of merch that I had. Now, I will admit, initially when I launched the Teespring merch, I made a little bit of money. Only a little bit. I'd say probably not even lying. I think in the entire time I've ever sold merchandise, I've never made $1,000 total throughout all the years. I don't think I've even made $1,000. But I think I made a few $100s that time, like $300 to $500 during the initial Teespring launch. This shirt was actually the best seller. This design right here made the most money for me. It was either this color scheme or all red on black. Okay. So at that point, I had a few different t-shirts, hoodies, and mugs and stuff like that I was selling. And that lasted a while. So here's what happened. Initial interest, everyone wants merch. So people rush to go buy it. And then immediately the interest falls off. So people say, well, why don't you get new designs? So I did. Fans would make designs. I would upload them. I would make my own designs and upload them. Nothing ever really sold. Eventually, people complained, oh, you just need new designs. I said, all right, I'll pay a designer. And behind the scenes, I paid a designer a couple $100 to design a bunch of designs. I put them on. Not a single sale. Zero. Okay? So eventually, after a while, I just said, I just don't care anymore. Right? I just don't care about this. And I just let the Teespring site fall into disrepair. Okay? For the record, I did eventually close the Cafe Press site because apparently someone was trying to access it and kept trying to hit it with, you know how you do the password reset link? They kept doing that and it kept getting frozen. And I was like, I'm not selling anything on Cafe Press. I'll just close the shop. And I eventually did. This Teespring shop was taken away from me against my will. Not to say that I was using it because I wasn't, okay? But basically what happened was in 2019, was it 2019? No, it was 2021, right? So my detractors / haters literally made a portfolio of bad things that DSP has said over the years. Most of it was actually from the early days of when I was a creator. So it was like racist jokes, sexist jokes, sexual comments, things like that I had said in like 2010. It was 2021. But they put it all together and they started going around sending this portfolio to all these different businesses which I had association with. So, for example, they send it to Twitch. They send it to YouTube. They send it to Teespring. They send it to the streaming services that I was using for pop-ups on my streams. They sent it to the processing service through which I was taking tips. Okay? It was 2021. We were within 1 year of COVID and the Black Lives Matter movement, and all of these corporations were going woke. So once they get this portfolio, they decide, well, we just don't want to do business with Darkside Phil anymore for all this stuff that he did in 2010, 11 years prior. Okay? Keep in mind, some of the businesses like Teespring recruited me. They reached out to me in like 2017. They made my merch page. They were maintaining it for me, and they were well aware of who I was and what I had done in the past. But it was only with this culture shift in 2020 and 2021 that they decided we don't want to associate. So they made the decision to associate, then years later, internally changed their minds, and they closed my page against my will. I didn't even know it was closed. I had no idea until someone told me. They said, are you aware your Teespring page is like a dead link? And I looked, I'm like, oh no, I had no idea. You know, I'm not using it. We didn't have any new merch on there for like a year. And then I contacted them and I found this out. And I'm like, you guys are so unprofessional and ridiculous. I would never work with you again. So that was a long time ago, right? And then during the Kino Casino arc, okay, which was fall 2024, there was once again a resurgence of interest in me. And people were like, hey, you know, maybe you should sell merch again. And I was, honestly, I wasn't really for it because I was like, I don't have stuff to sell. I'm not a graphic designer. You know what I mean? I don't really have much. I have like this logo here. That was a logo that someone had made for me years prior. And I said, oh, if I redesign my page to have the new logo and everything, maybe that could be the merch or whatever that I sell. And so once again, it wasn't me seeking it out. Someone contacted me when I was still doing content with Kino Casino. And they said, hey, I saw you on the casino. I liked what you're doing with those guys. Heard you talk about merch on one of your streams. I know a company that will work with you. They don't care about people harassing people on the internet whatsoever. They're totally cool. They're going to work with you no matter what. And I said, all right. And I started talks with that company. And basically the way that worked is, again, they set up the page. They created the merch, not me. All I had to do was send them the designs, and they would do all the work. And they would maintain the storefront and all of that. They would maintain the customer service. They would be mailing all the merch. I would just get a cut of the profits, okay? So again, immediately when that launched in 2024, that first month that it launched, I probably made a few $100s on merch sales, which was great. And then after that, it just completely petered off and no one cared again. So occasionally I would actually send that company a few designs, say, hey, here's some new art or whatever. Sometimes they would update the page. Sometimes they wouldn't even do it. And eventually when I contacted them and I was like, well, what gives? They were like, you're getting no sales. Like, no one even goes to the page. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm not a merch guy. I don't push merch on my streams. I don't have desire to push merch on my streams. I don't want to sell product. I want to stream and just hang out with people. So every once in a while, there's a slide for it or I'll bring it up. But I know we're probably never going to get significant sales unless there's a reason, right? And so basically they were like, well, it's not cost effective for us to maintain this page and keep paying for it every month when you're not going to use it. And I was like, you're right. And that was it. So the store got closed and that was the end of that. So at this point, I really don't care about merch. It's never been a big deal. Like, I feel like the people who sell merch, it's this simple. They're in it for the profits. They're not in it for the content or for loving what they do. They're in it because it's a business to them and all they want to do is print money. If you're just sitting here pushing merch every day, oh, the designs, the quality, the design. Dude, you're a fucking streamer. You're supposed to be entertaining your audience. You're supposed to be having a good time. And then if they like you, they'll reciprocate. Why are you selling merch like a fucking guy on QVC barking that your shirt is so good? No one gives a fuck about your shirt. You're a loser, right? That's my mentality. And that's the thing. Like, I just don't want to sit here selling content or selling merch all day. I just hate that mentality. And if anyone ever does, I hate it when you're watching a streamer or you're watching a creator and they're like, oh, now it's time for the paid product placement. Here's the product that I'm sponsored me today. Here's my referral link. Oh, here's my t-shirt line. And by the way, they're extremely fucking expensive for no fucking reason because I think that I'm more important than anyone else. So buy my fucking insanely expensive t-shirt. No one cares. Those are losers. Those are fucking life losers who are just there to shill to you. They're not there to make content for you. They don't care about the content they put out. They're rushing to get to the money part. See? So I don't care about that stuff. I don't think I ever will. I'd rather make content for you guys, have a good time, and you reciprocate, and then we're good. All right? So that's why you don't see me with the product placements. You don't see me selling the merch and chilling it. The few times I've tried it, it never worked. It was always just frustrating because people would like it for a month, and then, what am I supposed to do? I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not going to sit here designing shirts for you constantly. That's not my job. I'm not going to pay someone to do that because that's not the content I want to put out there on the internet. I want to put out gaming content. I want to put out positive content, podcasting, vlogging, hanging out with you. That's what I aspire to do, not sell fucking shirts, right? Buckwell says, I would like a shirt that says I got banned by DSP, but Buckwell, that would make you a poser because you're not. You're in the chat right now. You're not banned. So why the hell would you want a shirt that says that? What's your problem? Anyway. Okay. So, there you go. Who's here today?